Hello, my beautiful babies, and welcome to Incal Club Session 4. In this session, we are talking about the What is Above chapter. So you need to read What is Above issue in this book. That's what we're going over today. And also, if you don't have this book and you want this book, you can get an Incal box. I've only got like 6 or 7 left, but it comes with the book. It also comes with a really cute enamel Incal pen. You get an Incal Club bookmark with a John DeFool and Anima cosplay. There is an 8x10 signed Anima photo and an 11x17 Anima poster, different design. So if you want to get that, check it out for my domestic peeps. And for my international people, you can get everything out besides the book in the Incal pack on danikaxix.bigcartel.com. All right. So, wow, this chapter, so much goes on in this chapter. I had to make so many slides for this session. I've been making around like 30 or so slides, and like I had to make like 50 slides today. It was pretty intense. So let me make myself a little bit smaller, and we are going to go into our recap and break it down for you guys. We're going to break it down, talk about it, discuss the deal. Let me get rid of my graphic, and here I go. I'm going to put myself right about here. I think that maybe a little smaller. Here we go. Perfect. Okay. All right. So, we begin this chapter on the prison planet, Aqua End, as we discussed earlier. It's kind of like Dune. It's kind of like Arrakis, except not having enough water. They have only water. It's just too much water. And we have our recently exiled Ramo and his crew, the guys who tried to stage that coup earlier that went terribly wrong. And they have been exiled on this planet. They're on this platform. It is being overtaken by a massive wave, and they are set to drown. But before they do, they find themselves on the surface of a giant Medusa jellyfish. So here we go. How crazy would that be? And this thing has risen to the surface, and a man named Ito rises out from inside the Medusa and instructs the crew to accept the jellyfish into their heart and mind, physically, mentally, spiritually, accept the Medusa to gain its protection. And they accept the Medusa and are taken into its heart. And I mean, I love how there's a guy who literally, like, he just comes out of the Medusa. He's like inside of it, and he's like covered in this weird jelly skin. It's pretty cool. I don't know. It would be a little disconcerting, but I think I could accept it into my heart. I could accept the Medusa and go inside of it. And inside of it, they find the Emperoress alive and well. So the Emperoress, we thought that they had been assassinated during the switcheroo coup, and they are alive and well. Now back on the Incal starship, we've got John, and he is instructing Saloon to attack the shadow egg that is feeding off of their sun. And this backfires spectacularly. And again, we talked about this last session, but when John was in possession of the white Incal, and he was just like really like feeling it. He was like vibing with it, and like he was synchronized with it. He was like drawn very beautifully. And now you see him and he's like, attack! And Mœbius has decided to draw him in like the ugliest way he possibly can, which I really appreciate. This is how we look when we're being aggressive and fearful. It's really a great representation. So Saloon goes, oh, okay, which by the way, let's just reminder, Saloon is this now. He's like a I don't know what kind of a hedron that's called, but a pyramid double hedron. I don't fucking know. I'm not a geometrist. But he goes, okay, and he shoots the missiles at it. And it does the same thing as the Technopope's psycho-abdomen, if you remember from the second episode where Depot goes to save John, and he hits that shadow egg that's above the Psychopope's head, and it just bursts into a bunch of like little droplets and then reforms. So the same thing kind of happens again. It chases off the Incal starship. And the Berg fleet then shows up, and John DeFool, being the big idiot that he is, well, let's go attack them instead. You know, like this was a total disaster, but now we can fire on these Bergs. And everyone's like, no, I don't think that's a good idea, John. Saloon in particular is like, the Incal tells me that we're going to need their help soon. So like, we don't need to make them into enemies. And everyone's like, yeah, like that's not, like they're not really the problem. So let's not. And so they don't, which is great. It's like, they're like, chill, dude. And so the Incal knows of a force that can control the shadow eggs, the antimatter, because they're made out of this antimatter, right? So it's like, how do you attack antimatter? There's like, there's no way. But apparently the Incal knows a way, and so it goes sets off towards the galactic core to find it, and surprise, this force is to be found on Aqua End. They make it to the water planet, and they are searching for the substance that's able to control the antimatter. And while they're doing this, again, a giant Medusa shows up and rises from the waters, and invites them to follow it underwater, where it leads them to a secret imperial citadel, as seen here. It's called Vitaville H2O, and like, what a cool underwater city. I love it. Again, I know I'm always saying this, the color palettes are just so good in this comic, and I especially love this double page spread with all of the kind of indigos and reds and greens. It's just very pleasing to my eye. Alrock One says, Star Wars ripped that off so hard too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just like, I'm sure a lot of sci-fi people have imagined underwater cities. I don't know. But yeah, you know, yes and no. I don't know. You know, we've made it to this secret imperial underwater city. I'm really excited to go back there. But before we explore the city, we go to Technogia, which is the Techno's space fortress, as seen here. It looks like a giant mushroom. And I was thinking about, like, why a mushroom? Why would you choose to represent the Techno's fortress in the shape of a mushroom? And what I came up with was, you know, mushrooms are fungus. They grow in darkness, and these guys are trying to make the great darkness happen. Like, that's their whole deal, is they want all the shadow eggs to go out and destroy all the suns. And fun fact, mushrooms are like one of the only things that grow in moonlight exclusively and do not like sunlight. Like, pretty much everything else is like, sunlight, yay! But mushrooms are like, no, we like the darkness. We grow in darkness and moonlight. That's what we like to do. And so I feel like that's why he chose the mushroom, is because the mushrooms love darkness, and these guys are trying to bring about the great darkness. And also, mushrooms feed off of shit, and they feed off of decaying matter. And as we saw earlier, the Techno City back on John's planet, there was all these like dead bodies that was coming to them, and they were like taking these dead bodies apart to make RoboCops and whatever else with, you know, I mean, they use like these organs from these dead bodies to create some of their technology. And so I thought that was also an interesting juxtaposition there. I think that worked out really well. It's a great metaphor. I love it. So the Technos, they are spying on, hold on, let me bring myself down because I feel like let me make myself a little smaller. I'm taking up too much space here. We need to see this art. We need to see this beautiful art over here. All right, I'm going to put myself here for right now. I'm really, really little. So the Technos are spying on Iman Horlog, the guy who has taken over as the new emperoress of the human galaxy. He's very Baron-like. And he is in the middle of interrogating Greyfield, who is the person who supposedly double-crossed Ramo and the Emperoress by summoning the Endo Guard, who then attacked the Emperoress instead of taking Iman and the Technos and the Magnates and all them. And Greyfield, surprise, he's a double agent. He's actually really working for the Emperoress. And Horlog knows that the Emperoress is still alive, and they're trying to figure out, how to get rid of him, because his seat for power will not be secure until the Emperoress is truly dead. And Greyfield is kind of like, he's like a cross between, let's go over next, this guy, Greyfield. Greyfield is like a cross between Dr. Yui and Thufir Hawat from Dune. They kind of took those two characters and smushed them together, where he is a Mentrek. He's not a Mentat. He's a Mentrek, which they don't really go into what that means, but I just assume that's like, oh, he's his smarty pants human computer guy that like helps him with stuff. And later on when we see him without his hat, you see he's got this weird little kind of techno bubble thing coming out of his brain. But anyways, he's kind of like those two characters put together. And like he betrays, the Emperor. He's like, oh, I have this imperial conditioning. I can't tell you where the Emperoress is. I'll never betray the Emperoress. Kind of like the Sook Doctor in the Sook training, where it's like, I'll never betray House Atreides. But Iman is like, you know what? I think that we can find a way around your conditioning. And they have his granddaughter, and they turn her into ice, and they threaten his granddaughter's life, saying, we can shatter her in a million pieces, bro. So like, you need to cooperate with us, and we need to figure out a way around your conditioning so that I can find the Emperoress and I can kill them. And the Iman decides like, you know what? You don't even have to tell me. You don't have to tell me where they are. She is. I'm just going to put a bomb in your head, and then you can go find them, and then it'll just explode when you get there and take care of the problem. You're going to be my little human bomb. And before we leave this page, I just want to point out her outfit is so dope. I just absolutely love this woman's fits. Like, Mœbius draws her in the coolest outfits like ever, but it's really neither here nor there. I just personally needed to put that out there. So, like I said, the Technos have been kind of watching this whole situation go down, and they're like, you know what? This guy's a Mentrak. He is going to be able to defuse the bomb. So Horlog, while he's crafty, this isn't a bad plan, but it's doomed to failure. So what we're going to do is we're going to infiltrate the operating room when they try to put this bomb in his brain, and we're going to have one of our agents infect him with a special virus that will spread the darkness to the Emperoress. So that's our plan. Like plans within plans are going on. We got a lot of kind of Dune-esque situation happening. And also, like Horlog won't know about this, but neither will Greyfield, which works to their advantage. Let's move on to our next slide. So back on John's home planet, the Arhats witness the end of the planet's sacred core. Oh my goodness, the sacred core of the planet is exploding. It's terrible. I like how he says it's very sad. But the other one's like, you know what it is? But we have work to do on the surface. Like an ending is really, it's like one door closes, another one opens. Okay, so this may be the end of this time. But we've got work to do. We've got new shit going on. All the garbage is rising up into the cities. And this guy, like, he's like, they're all rotten anyways. Fuck them. You know, like, let the garbage spew into the streets. And here we are back in the city shaft, still in chaos. Garbage is, in fact, rising up into the cities. And along with it, Gorgo and his mutant horde are adding to the fun, the festivities. They're just going around killing anyone who is getting in their way. Gorgo ends up claiming the throne for himself. He finds the presidential throne. And he's so cute. Look at Gorgo. Look at his cute little face. Like, I like that these guys are worried. They're like, I don't know about this Gorgo. But he's like, shut up. I'm sitting in this seat. This is mine now. So, meanwhile, the people are trying to get out of the city shaft. We have a wave of human refugees fleeing the city to the surface of the planet. And once there, they discover the Bergs have destroyed their agricultural robots. So these guys who are farming everything for them have been taken out. And we go back to the Bergs up here flying around. And now that all resistance has been quelled on this planet, the Bergs ignore the refugees. They don't care. They're like, these guys are just going to starve. Who cares? They're a bunch of old men and children. We don't care. What we're really here to do is begin our search of the most aggressive humans who have been able to survive the riots that have been going on. And the R-Hats have been watching all of this go on from space. They are seeing all of this unfold. And they decide to return to the surface to show the refugee survivors how to live and cultivate their Mother Earth. So, over time, the surviving children follow the R-Hats' instructions. They have reclaimed the land. They've fertilized it. They have planted crops. They've built villages all over the planet. And the crystals that the R-Hats are encased in are growing, indicating that the progress is happening on the planet. These kids are doing a great job redoing. Look at how nice this is. Oh, man. It looks good. And I love that. I love, too, that, like, it's really just children left. Like, they're the only ones that have survived, which is really interesting because it's kind of like, oh, this is a new beginning. And, like, you can teach children. But adults, get very set in their ways. They become very stiff. They're not ready to do new things. But children are, sponges for new things. So you have these children who are just like down to clown. They are ready to start farming. They're ready to go. And one day, a rare grown-up shows up to the village. It's the Hollow Anchor. His name is Diavalu. And he's from issue number 1. I don't know if you remember him, but he was the one who was the host of the news program, and he was having the fake tears squirted on his eyes before he went on the program and making sure he looked dirty enough, before he got on camera. And he is deeply shell-shocked. He's reporting doom to nobody. He's just kind of going nuts. And the resident R-Hat explodes the hollow vid, which is on his wrist. He's got like a weird little Apple Watch situation. And he breaks the curse of the doom scroll spell that has been cast on this man. And at first, he's horrified. He's like, oh my God, what do I do? I've got no news to broadcast to vid fans. I don't have any vid fans. I'm cut off from the universe. What am I going to do without my hollow vid telling me about all the terrible things that are going on? And a young girl's like, look, calm down. It's fine. We got plenty of work for you to do. We're going to put you to work in the fields. We're going to reconnect you with real life. Drink this bowl of soup or whatever the fuck. It's like, just chill out. And I love the breaking of the doom scroll spell. I feel like a lot of us get addicted to that doom scrolling situation. And it's like, things aren't perfect by any stretch of the means. That's not what I'm saying here, but there is such a focus on negativity, and you can just find so much negativity, and so much negativity is broadcast on the internet that if you consume too much of it, over time it can make you feel, or, it makes me feel like, oh, that's all there is, and it kind of freaks you out and makes you think that everything is terrible. and a lot worse than it actually is. And, it's like there's some shitty things going on. I'm not going to say there aren't. But there's a lot of great things that are going on too. there's a lot of good things. Mintap Muse, I see that you had to quit news. Good for you. I think quitting news is really good for your mental health because, again, they are a business and it's all about like getting clicks and views and people watching. And so there's all these dramas that are created and put in front of you because they want to keep you hooked. They want to keep you there so that they can get money from advertisers. And so, they have a very real financial draw to keeping you freaked out and, connected to their source. And so it's just like I said, there's shit going on. Don't get me wrong, but it's like there's a lot of great stuff. And, you got to focus on real things that are happening in your life. I think that's, I think about like, I know there's a lot of hatred for Jordan Peterson, but I love his little like, clean up your room. Whenever I feel like I start getting too involved in outside drama and getting enraged and upset about stuff, I'm just like, sometimes that little voice, clean up your room, like pops in my head. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. All I can do is control my own space. I can control myself. That's really all I can do. I need to just mind my own business and work on my own shit. That's, like I just need to step back and deal with my own stuff. And that's been very, very helpful to me. That's been very helpful. So back on Aqua End, we've got John, Depot, the Meta Baron, Kill, and Tanata, and they are received by Ramo of Kamar, and they propose an alliance with them against the Great Darkness. They are like, hey, we've got this power of the Incal. It can, like, fuck shit up. It's going to be great. And they explain that the Incal is pure consciousness. It's a direct emanation of the divine will, the power of God incarnate. And this panel down here, I haven't heard God mentioned in a long time. Like, I don't much believe in all those fairy tales. It's like, yeah, we want something concrete, And he's like, yeah. Rainbow's like, yeah, give us a miracle. And they're like, sure, I'll give you a miracle. Depot's like, I'll give you a miracle right now, bro. And then he manifests a rose in Raymar's hands. And get this, roses in this universe have been extinct for generations. Can you imagine a world without roses? What a sad place that would be. I think roses are really fantastic. I live in a place where there are a lot of roses everywhere. They're just growing everywhere. And it just makes me really happy. They're very beautiful. And being impressed by this rose, they're like, yeah, okay. Like, that's legit. You gave us a miracle. Like, yes. Okay. We're going to take you to the Emperoress. No problem. This is going to be great. And they get an audience and they start coordinating with the Emperoress their plan to defeat the Shadow Eggs. And later, we have John, and he's asked Anima to meet him alone in order to woo her. And this does not go well at all. He gives her this little Medusa flower. And look at his little face. He's like, oh, I want to talk to you alone. And means that when a guy gives a girl a Medusa flower, the guy's in love with the girl and that she loves him back. That's funny, isn't it? And she's like, bro, like we're like in the middle of like some crazy shit and you're being frivolous right now. You're being frivolous. And, things go from bad to worse. She says, leave me alone. Like, all you want to do is fuck me. You're just some lusty guy. That's all you're interested in. I know you. She slaps him in the face and further admonishes him, saying that he should be out helping the Meta Baron and the others hunt giant wild Medusae rather than playing at seduction. So she gives him a real hard talking to. I know. She put him in horny jail, for sure. Spidey Sensei, that's exactly what she did. She put him in horny jail. Was like, no, sir. No, sir. Meanwhile, while that's going on, you've got Ramo and the Metabaron, and they have found the giant wild Medusa that is the key to their strategy, and they are herding them into pens. I love them. These are so cool. Like, these are kind of like the sandworms of Aqua End. Like, they're the like Dune has worms, and Aqua End has giant jellyfish. And let's see here. So while the Medusae are being herded, Greyfield, unaware that he has been implanted with a deadly virus, returns to the Emperoress to warn them that their secret, that they're still alive, has been discovered. And the Technos spy on this meeting, which also, here you go. This is what I was saying when he has his hat off. He's a Mentrek, so it's like, he's got a computer in his brain or something? Something's going on here, you know? But the Technos are spying on this whole conversation. They've put cameras in his eyeballs that he doesn't know about. And so they see, they're like, oh my God, what is that? They see Saloon. They're like, oh no, the Incal has been reunited. Like, we've got to make our plan go much faster. It's time to launch those 10,000 shadow eggs. We're launching the shadow eggs. We're getting it going. While that's going on, you have John and the crew. They've left Aqua End. And they are going towards the Berg's homeworld called Orgargan. The Incal apparently has chosen a highly reluctant John to compete in the Berg's great 5,000-year nuptial games, where he must face off against thousands, if not millions, of the most aggressive humans handpicked from over 27 planets in the human empire. The Metabaron has programmed a proto-trainer to teach John how to be a badass fighter. He's like, I don't want to do this. Like, why not send the Metabaron? Like, I don't understand. Nobody understands. Here we have him with, I love this sequence. This is so great. What amazing action shots. Like, oh, Mœbius, you're the best. Jodorowsky. This, like, oh, you see it from the robot's perspective of John. Yeah, at first John's like, oh, I can beat this thing up. Oh, it's on level 1. No big deal. But then, you know, he starts getting his ass beat. He's like, stop the robot. Stop the robot. Stop the robot. Oh, my God. So, again, things are not going well. Everyone is really worried about John's chances of survival. He's not getting it. They're trying to get him up to a level 8. He's kind of bitching out at a level 5. It's not what they were hoping for. I mean, he's like getting his ass beat so hard. He's like constantly in the auto medic these days. You know, he's in the med pod, like getting mended because he's getting his ass whooped so hard. But he did make it up to a 6. He made it up to at least a 6, but it's still like, it's not an 8. It's not an 8. And before he descends into the games, he hears a familiar voice. He hears the president's voice coming from the Necrodroid. Kill has been working on what's left of the Necrodroid. And John has decided that he's going to deliver another message to the people across the human galaxy. And he reveals that the Emperoress is still alive and is preparing her return. And also the destruction of all the traitors and the Technos. And he warns people of the 10,000 shadow eggs that are on the way, attacking their sons, causing a new surge of rebellion across the human empire, across the galaxy. More rioting is going on. This enrages Horlog. He's really pissed about this whole situation, who decides to pay the Techno Centaur a visit. Like, what are you going to do about this? Like, this guy's talking to people all over the holovids. He's telling them, we're going to get fucked. Like, what are we going to do about this? So we get to the Berg's homeworld planet, and or Gargan. And they've all gathered in the Mother Hill. This is the seat of the primordial ovulation and home of their beloved proto-queen. Inside the crater, here we go, They have declared the 5,000-year nuptial games open. And this particular games is super special because every 5,000 years, a carefully selected alien race is chosen to fight for the right to impregnate their proto-queen. And legend has it, after 24,000 such impregnations, the Bergs will enter an golden age of eternal prosperity. And this is the 24,000th games. So this is their big one. This is the big one. Okay. The legend has it. It's going to be just gravy from here on out. And the rules are simple. There's no projectile weapons allowed. You can't have a gun or a laser or anything like that. And you can only use your strength, your skill, your endurance. Obviously you can have like a pike or something, but you can't have any, blasters. And the first to reach the top of the cone wins, and the rest will be eaten in the great nuptial banquet. So here we have the cone. Here we have all the Berg spectators, and here we have all of the humans, the aggressive humans who have lined up to participate in this weird play that is mirroring the sperm and egg situation where you have the sperm, they are released into the canal, they all race up there into the cone, they race up into the cervix, into the uterus, and the first one who gets to the egg wins, and everybody else dies. So that's what we're doing here today. Sex education is wild on this world. That is for sure. Super Slade. So John's here. He's really excited about it, as you can tell. And Gorgo is here too, which I love that they picked Gorgo because, of course, like Gorgo would be there. But there's also, like I said, thousands, perhaps millions of men. They're waiting to ascend the cone. But John is not totally alone. Also, I just want to point out, like, fuck, this panel is so good. This panel is so good. Again, like, everybody's dressed different. Everybody has different body styles. Everybody has a different pose. Like, they're all just so well drawn. And again, it just looks so effortless. Jean Giraud is my hero. It's just like, it boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. It seems very simple, but it's not. Like, so like something like this is not simple, drawing a scene like this, but he just does it so well and just makes it look so easy and so cool. But again, John is not alone. The Incal is inside of him, magic school bus style. Okay, they've shrunk down to like a microscopic levels. And the games begin. The proto-queen is emanating a level 5 mating call from the top of the cone, igniting a frenzy in the men below. John, being too well conditioned by the Incal, is not being moved by the mating call, and he falls behind. The crew is like, oh my God, what are we going to do? They boost his metabolism. They spur him into action. He's actually starting to kick ass a little bit. He's got this guy he's got to face off against. He kicks him in the nuts and goes on. It's great. And again, look at this awesome panel of like all these people going, ascending the cone, but like all of this blood dripping down from all the people who've been killed already, like trying to go up the cone. Oh, it's so brutal. But John is falling behind, and the Incal's like, fuck this. We don't have time for this. Like, John's never going to make it at this point. Let's levitate him. Let's levitate his ass, and we're just going to pop him right in the top of that cone. He beats Gorgo. He beats homeboy just by a hair. Like, our boy Gorgo was going to win. He loses. John makes it inside. The cone snaps down. And the Bergs, being the cool guys that they are, decide that only the people who have been killed will be eaten, and the rest of them can survive. They're not going to kill the rest of the humans that survived this whole thing because they fought so well. So inside the cone, John meets the proto-queen. Here we go. I love this feminine pile of goo with a mouth and an eyeball talking to him. He is disgusted. He's really freaked out by this. He's not into it. He is not ready to have sex with this because that's what he has to do now. I know, PJ, be not afraid. He is afraid. He's 100% afraid. And again, the Incal is inside him. So they try to boost his glandular secretions to give him a more amorous behavior so that he can get down to business and impregnate the proto-queen. But it really just, it's not working. He's just like, please, like, let me out of here. This is so bad. And I love Anima. She's over here. John, you spineless wimp. Where's your vaunted aggressiveness? Go for it. Do it. You know, like, have sex with this goo lady. Like, she's being such a bitch about it. Is like really giving him a hard time because he doesn't want to have sex with the goo lady. And look at the meta baron here. He's like laughing at this. He's just like, what? Like, this is so absurd. His little smile is perfect. But the goo lady, realizing that, you know, John's a human and he needs an image to love. Humans need an image to love. So she probes him psychically and is looking for the ideal image that will maximize his sex drive. And she finds it. And guess what? It's Anima. She forms into Anima. And John immediately falls madly in love with her. Her name is Barbaraya, by the way. And as soon as this happens, you know, and I love, she's like, accept that I am better than Anima. I love you. I want you. I'm your bride. Forget that frigid bitch. then homegirl over here, Anima, really, she flips the script real quick. She's like, it's a trap. John, watch out. Me, I'm not a frigid bitch. Like, she's a fucking bitch. I love that, like, immediately. It's like, she's like, no, what? And it's so funny, like, I've read like the Art of Seduction by last name is Green. And in it this like reminds me of this chapter that's like talking about creating triangles and how if there's somebody you're chasing after and they're not interested and they're like, ooh, whatever, then one tactic you can use is to bring another person into the situation. And that sometimes that competition will trigger something in them. And now all of a sudden they'll want you, you know, because somebody else wants you. And it's like this weird human thing that goes on. And so this is exactly what's happening. John's created a triangle. And now Anima's like, what? I want him. How dare she? How dare she? That fucking bitch. Barb tells John that, you know, she's got to be truly loved to be impregnated, and he must prove his love for her by giving up his life to her disintegration style after their coupling. He is like, done deal, you know, like, yes, let's get down to business. John has sex with the proto-queen, and in his post-nut clarity, John is bummed that he betrayed Anima with her own image. She's like, oh no, she's going to be mad at me. Like, oh, what have I done? And afterwards, Barbaraya is now like, okay, well, we did it. And I'm impregnated with 1 billion new subjects. So it's disintegration time, babe. What do you think? Like, it's time to get disintegrated. And again, in that post-nut clarity, he's like, oh no, please, I do not want to be disintegrated. In fact, I will trade you something really cool for my life. I will give you this Incal, like, check it out. And it appears in his hand. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll take the bait. But John won't give it up until she first agrees to give him a gift of his choosing. And in return, she agrees to his demands. And at first, he's like, I want a small planet of paradise with lots of flowers and bananas and beaches and homeo whores of all colors. like the Incal, everyone. His crew is like, Jesus, John, please, John, shut the fuck up, John. And he's like, okay, sorry, my bad. I want to destroy the Techno's space mushroom Technogia. I want to destroy it. That's what I want. So you help me destroy it. I'll give you the Incal. It'll be good. She's like, done. This is a great deal. But before we do that, I'm going to need some more dick. which I'm sure he gladly supplied. And yeah, everything seems to be going really well. And meanwhile, in space, Ramo and his people are diligently destroying the shadow eggs. Their Medusas are doing the trick. They're kicking ass all over the galaxy. This is great. Look at this. Oh man, we've surrounded the shadow egg with our jellyfish, our space jellyfish, and we are encasing them in a cocoon of solid plasma. We're taking care of this business. And again, I was thinking about, like, why a jellyfish? Why would we choose a jellyfish? What's going on here? Yeah, unijellies. Yes, George Boole. Unijellies. Why would we do that? And also, why are they called Medusa? You know, like, that's a really interesting thing to call them. And, you know, again, what I came up with, I may be reaching here. Jellyfish would be the perfect type of animal to go up against the shadow eggs because they are totally instinctual. They have no heart. They have no eyes. They have no brains. They are like an empty Zen-like creature. You know, in Zen, it's like, oh, you know, empty your mind. They're like these empty beings. And then, like, the Medusa, you know, the if Medusa looks at you, she can turn you to stone. And so these things are turning these shadow eggs and encasing them in solid plasma. So there is that. So I feel like that's kind of where we're going with this. That's the best I got. Oh, PJ, thank you. Our resident man who can speak French. Meduse, Medusa. Medusa is the French word for jellyfish. So that totally works on like both levels, like in English. I don't know. That's interesting. Thank you for telling me that. So that's what they're called in French, apparently, is Medusa. So interesting fun facts all around. We're always learning every day. You learn something new every day. So we've got back on Technogia. Iman has shown up with his little homegirl, and he's like, bro, like, what is going on? And the Technos are freaking out. The shadow eggs are being destroyed. This is not looking good for them and their strategy. And suddenly, while they're, you know, fighting amongst themselves, freaking out, the Berg fleet comes out of subspace, shows up, surrounds the Techno Mushroom, and is ready for attack. And we got our big battle scene going on here. Iman and his little chick, they get out though. They're here. I think here they are right there. They're fleeing the battle. And after the battle is won, John and Barbaraya's ship docks with the Incal. John meets Depot, Tanata, and the Metabaron in the airlock. And he's like, oh man, I didn't think I'd ever see you guys again. I thought I was dead. I thought I was going to go to that code. I thought I was going to be dead. And he's like, where's Anima? And she's like, I'm here, John. I'm here. I'm right here. And I love you. And, they run towards each other and they kiss in a passionate embrace right in front of John's new baby mama, Barbaraya. Big mistake. Big mistake. She becomes enraged that he would prefer this mortal woman to the proto-queen. Are you kidding me? And so she decides to renege on their deal. And she's like, keep your fucking Incal. I'm disintegrating John right now. And she does. She makes good on her promise and leaves back for the Berg homeworld to await the birth of their golden age. She's like, I'm pregnant. I don't need you anyways. Go fuck yourself. And I think, too, it's really interesting that after John impregnates the proto-queen, like, he must be disintegrated. Like, that's generally how it works with her. And it's like, it's interesting in the bug, like in the insect kingdom, I know that happens, like with like bees and stuff, you know, where it's like the male bees who go to impregnate the queen, I believe, die. You know, it's also, yes, Davey, it's also like the praying mantis. The praying mantis get their head cut off afterwards. And also, I feel like it is kind of like it's based in a irrational psychological fear that men have that like, oh, I'm going to, if I impregnate someone, like I'm going to die. Like my life as I know it is over. Like it's done. Like something has been taken from me. I'll never get it back. Everything has changed. It is a kind of death. Although some men don't give a fuck and just keep doing whatever they want and they don't support a baby or hang out. But whatever. I'm just saying maybe that's something that plays into it. It's interesting to think about. So John's been disintegrated. The crew is like, oh goodness. We have got Danika killed, Metabaron and Soloon, and they're meeting to discuss the sitch. Soloon posits that the proto-queen, who supposedly was this kind of heartless creature, is experiencing the emotion of jealousy for the first time. And soon, if she's experiencing that, she's going to discover remorse. And that will lead to the alchemical process that will form a new Berg Incal, which truly will herald a golden age for them. Which I was like, oh, that's very interesting. That's cool. But Anima is obviously really depressed about this situation. So is Depot. And they're just like, it's not good for them. They're sad. And Soloon proposes to reincarnate John's atoms, which are still in orbit around the ship. The Incal has been able to keep his atoms kind of near them. They haven't fully dispersed. And he says, let's use the power of love. We got to form a male-female vortex. We got a stored copy of his biometric or biopsychic imprint on the computer. We'll just pop that back in there. And it's going to be great. We got to do it. And I love how Kill's like, I'll do it. I'll form a male-female vortex. Because, he knows the only female is Danika, his queen, Oh, I'll do it. But the Metabaron's like, what? Fuck that. Why do we need John? Fuck John. Okay, Anima needs to get over it. We just got to help her get over it. And they call him out. They're like, bro, she's never going to love you. Like, it's never going to happen. Even if John never comes back. Like, she doesn't love you. Okay? And he gets real pissed having to accept the truth that Anima does not want him, which, again, I get it. He is better than John in every way. That would be very frustrating. That would be very frustrating because he is better than John and it doesn't make sense necessarily, but love doesn't make sense. And Danika is like, yo, bro, hey, just stop for a second. Okay. I know that you want my sister, but like, I'm pretty cool and I'm here and I think you're hot. So like, can you calm down and like, just accept it. And, you got to back up. Don't worry about it. So, and then poor Kill is like, I guess I'll go see how Depot's doing. I guess I'll go. Fuck. So they form the male-female vortex here. Psychic vortex. And John's atoms are brought back together and he has been reincarnated. They restore John. It's very exciting. The crew returns to Aqua End, and the good news is that all the shadow eggs have been neutralized, and the technos have been disbanded, and the magnates have been banished. So that's great. We're doing great. The bad news is, however, that the darkness that's like behind the eggs is still lurking. And also the Emperoress has been overcome by a strange sickness. And so they go to meet with the Emperoress. They cast Greyfield aside and they find that the Emperoress has succumbed to the Tenebrae. I don't know how to say it. Tenebrae virus, which is, and is now possessed by the Great Darkness. So, here we go. Oh, they're all fucked up. Look at them. Oh, and their egg. I love this panel. This splash page is so beautiful right here. The Great Darkness. Oh, it's descending. And that concludes Incal Club session 4. Well, not session 4, but our recap of what is above. Metaluna Juan. Tenebrae is a good Italian horror film, by the way. Yeah, it's a part of the Great Mothers trilogy, the Argento situation, which means darkness, the mother of darkness. So let's make myself a little bit bigger. little small, a little too big. A little too big. There we go. All right. There we go. And let me get my graphic back up here. All right. Perfect. Great. Personally, I'm not a huge Argento fan. I mean, I appreciate some of the stuff that he did, but I don't get it. I don't know. I've tried so many times, but it's definitely worth checking out for sure. So let's take a moment to talk about May's Meditation Motivation Challenge. Last week, if you accepted your mission, you were charged with a 15-minute daily practice. For this week, we're gonna bump it up to a 20-minute daily practice. Personally, I have not skipped a day. I'm very, yes, it's hard because I don't always want to do it. And I have been focusing on meditating in the morning, and I've been doing a Zazen morning meditation, which is kind of sitting there and being, and it's been going pretty well, honestly. I feel like I had a couple of, in the stillness that I'm, working towards, the stillness that I'm practicing, I did have a couple of realizations pop in my head where I was wasn't actively thinking about something, but then it just kind of popped in my head and I was like, oh, and I was thinking, I mean, it's a very, Beans peed on my rug and I needed to get a new rug, and there was 3 different rugs. It was I could get the old rug, I could get this other rug, I could get this other rug, and I just didn't know which one to get. And then, in my meditation, the correct rug popped into my mind, and I knew that I was oh, I've got to get the triangle mosaics, because I felt like I could rebuy the one that I had. It was a bunch of shattered triangles, but I preferred to get the more patterned mosaic triangles that are in more of a checkerboard pattern, that are dispersing into more of a wider field. I felt like that was in line with what's been going on with me mentally, with the meditation. I feel like I've been organizing my mind, and I'm not as shattered as I once was, and I feel like this is a good representation of that. So that was a nice little perk for meditating. I got just figuring out which rug. And there was another thing too. I was having an argument, not an argument, but I was having a discussion on Twitter with somebody, and we disagreed on something, and I was really felt oh, why am I even doing this? I feel like this isn't going anywhere, and I'm not figuring out what I want to figure out. But then I did, it popped into my head, and I was oh, I get it. And then I had a moment. So meditation's been going great. I'm going to keep going. I hope you guys keep going. I hope it's been going great for you. I'm really excited that you guys are on this journey with me. It's been fantastic. I really love it. So thank you to everybody who is doing this with me. It's been great. Johnny Nooch says, have you found your mind quieted any more throughout the week? Maybe a little bit. I feel a little bit. I feel like I've gained a small bit of clarity. But it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I mean, it's supposed to be. It's the whole thing. But it's I feel like there's been a little bit of progress, and I feel like there's been a little bit of clarity, extra clarity. So that's been great. Davey Sockrocker says it's become a great part of my cool down. I'm so excited that it's working out for you guys who are doing it with me. So yeah, it's been good. I think the morning really helps me. I don't know about you guys, but let me know in the comments below if you're more of a morning meditator or a nightly meditator. What kind of meditation are you doing? I've been reading a beginner's Zen mind book too, that I have, kind of talking about Zazen meditation, and that's also been very helpful. I would like to try though. I would like to go to a Zendo and have somebody who really knows what they're doing, give me some instructions, because I'm sure I'm doing. It's not that it doesn't matter that you're doing it wrong is the thing. It's whatever, but I would, it'd be cool to experience it with a master who knows what's up, who can give some some advice and helping. I'm sure there's somewhere around here I can find that. I'm sure I can find that somewhere. So yeah. Davey says, after my morning workout, I did it once right after waking up and just dozed off. Yeah, like right after waking up, I feel like is a little too soon. I like to do my morning like skin routine and do all that stuff, like all my moisturizing and my exfoliating and like covering myself in coconut oil, and then like putting my bedding away, like folding up all my blankets and stuff, and then sitting has been working well for me. So yeah. It's been great. So thank you everyone for participating, who's participating. And if you're not, that's fine too. You know, whatevs. No judgment. For next session, our last session of Incal Club, you need to read 2 issues. Not 1, but 2. You're going to read the 5th Essence Part 1 and the 5th Essence Part 2. And that will finish out the book. So just read until the end and you'll be good to go. We're going to finish this up next Sunday. I'm really excited about it. This has been a really fun journey and I've had such a great time breaking this down with you guys. Again, I learned so much doing this, and I'm glad that you guys are hanging out and want to read this with me because it's really fun. It's really cool. This has been great. So thank you everyone, and I will see you next week for our final Incal Club. Mwah.